So about now you're probably wondering, where's the "I'm a nostalgia kid and I remember it, 'cause I'm younger than you" introduction? Well, I'm not really in the mood. I'm feeling kinda down. Crushed, really. You see, my idol, hero in fact, the very reason for my creation, finds one of my all-time favorite movies is just okay. Just okay. Listen, maybe this will all make sense if I show you this flashback. You may remember in the late 90s, there was a decline in popularity of the Disney Renaissance musicals. So Disney started work on their newest movie that would kick off the new millennium. It would be something like they had never done before. An ambitious, amazing project. And it just so happened to turn out to also be a musical. Well, it used to be, until a troubled production history changed that all. In 1997, Mark Dindal was brought on to improve the film after some screening tests led to less than desired results. Dindal had just completed working with Warner Brothers on Cats Don't Dance, and it would bring that Chuck Jones-style zany humor with him when he transformed Kingdom of the Sun into the cult hit we all know and love today. This is The Emperor's New Groove. So we open with a sad llama in the jungle in the middle of a rainstorm. It turns out the llama is actually the human once, named Emperor Kuzco, who explains how he was turned into a llama through flashback. Turns out Kuzco was an egocentric ruler of the Inca Empire in ancient Peru, with hundreds of servants who catered to his every whim, including his own personal theme song guy, voiced by Tom Jones. Before long, we are introduced to Yzma, the Emperor's advisor, who's the love child of Cruella de Vil and Norma Desmond, as well as Yzma's right-hand man, Kronk, voiced by Patrick Warburton. Kuzco ends up firing Yzma for running the kingdom while he's away. The village leader Pacha then arrives to meet Kuzco, who informs him that his village is going to be destroyed to make way for his summer home, Kuzco-topia. But little does Kuzco know Yzma is plotting a revenge to poison him, so she can take over the empire. But Kronk ends up swiping one of the wrong potions and turns Kuzco into a llama instead. Now Kronk is sent to take Kuzco out of town and finish him off. One thing leads to another, and Kuzco ends up reuniting with Pacha. Kuzco demands Pacha take him back to the palace, but Pacha agrees to only do it if Kuzco builds his summer home on another hill. Kuzco refuses and decides he'll find his way back home himself. He ends up lost in the jungle and nearly eaten by jaguars before Pacha reluctantly saves him. Kronk accidentally reveals to Yzma that Kuzco's still alive, and the two set out to find him. Kuzco finally agrees to build his summer home somewhere else, but the whole thing is a lie, and it turns out Kuzco plans to have Pacha in prison for life. But soon, the bridge Kuzco and Pacha are on collapses, and the two must work together to save their lives, resulting in Kuzco saving Pacha and having an ultimate change of heart. Yzma and Kronk end up in the jungle, where Kronk asks a squirrel for directions to find Emperor Kuzco. Kuzco and Pacha find themselves at the Inca version of Big Boy, where they get a quick bite to eat, and have a brief run-in with Yzma and Kronk. Fortunately, they escape unnoticed, but through a misunderstanding, Kuzco ends up lost in the jungle where we started. Kuzco regains his confidence and reunites with Pacha as the two head over to Pacha's hut to get supplies. It turns out Yzma is disguised as Pacha's relative and is trying to search the house for Kuzco. Pacha reveals who Yzma really is to his wife Chicha and leaves the hut as Chicha is left to fend for herself and protect her children. After Yzma comes out of the closet, it makes more sense in context. The chase is on to get back to the palace, where a battle ensues and Kuzco finally returns to his human form. Kuzco decides to build a small hut next to Pacha's to spend his summer vacation instead of his gigantic summer home, and they all live happily ever after. And that's The Emperor's New Groove. By no means is it perfect, but it's certainly one of my favorites. It's refreshing, hilarious, and original as far as Disney animated films go. And it seems more like a Warner Brothers cartoon like Looney Tunes or Animaniacs than an actual Disney film. It's quite enjoyable. I wonder what Nostalgia Critic thinks of it.
I think everything in this movie is just kind of okay.